Hey, survivors, welcome to the channel. We are going to talk about the new supply. Do they really have it better than we did? And welcome to the classroom. I'm at my mom's taking care of her. So I'm down in the basement. It's freezing down here. A lot of glass. It's like a lower sunken. But the new supply, do they really have it better? And a lot of us, we're kind of living in the past. We're kind of upset about everything that went on. We're thinking about the good things. The narcissist is thinking about bad things. It's a whole different perspective on what the relationship really was. So we have to take a moment to really think why we're missing this person and is it healthy? We are trauma bonded and often we're searching for answers. Was it something within us? Because we're empathetic, we like to also be fixers. We like to fix things that went wrong. So we're looking within and be careful when you do that because a lot of times you're going to compare yourself to the new supply and are they better? I look at it as they are just somebody different. Good example is my first one had left me for somebody who was running for Miss Michigan, and you're like, is she prettier, this or that, those kind of things. And I think it was more the supply over um, that you can bragging rights, I guess, living vicariously, something to talk about with others. Because the reason I say that, I am a lot older now, but back then they had this Mary Kay flyer. I used to sell Mary Kay, and there was one lady who looked very similar to me, and she just had the soft tones of makeup. And then the other side has that same lady done up with makeup. And my little girl was like, is that you? And is that the other girl? Same lady, different makeup. So, you know, um, is that person prettier? It's just uh, done up different. There's similarities, there's still differences. So don't compare yourself to the superficial things and who you are in your soul. Only you will know that. You will not really know. Just like we didn't know who our narcissist really was. You'll never truly know what's in somebody's heart. So do they have it better? It's a different person and there's going to be different dynamics, but the narcissist has learned many tricks to sustain a new relationship. So they're just going to utilize more manipulation tactics. So I won't necessarily say that they're better off. They're with a better manipulator. And, the trips might seem more extravagant or the restaurants might seem uh, higher class or whatever, but it's because the narcissist at this time has learned that they need to try harder, because they know every relationship fails. So they're utilizing more falsehoods. So their relationship is built more on falseness. So what are you really missing out on? A manipulator who's going to, um, trick you into a relationship. And that's what's going on with the new supply. And I see somebody's there. Feel free to join in, say hello. And I'm at my mom's right now. So I'm in my downstairs classroom. But she's finally home. She's doing pretty good. So I'll be here for the weekend. And, um, you know, uh, when when we keep comparing ourselves, it can kind of lower our self esteem. So instead of doing it that way, we should uplift ourselves, have faith in who we really are, believe in ourselves, and live our best life. And we waste a lot of time thinking about the person, how we could have acted differently. Um, and, the reactive abuse that we've done, hopefully we don't fall into that. But it's easy to. The narcissist loves to push our buttons, and that's triggering. They, made us feel uncomfortable. So we went into survival mode. And, you know, um, a lot of us have a lot of regret for some of the things that we did, or we become so angry that we want to release that anger. So be careful not to release it in a spiteful way, because that's not going to bring any peace to your heart. It's only going to make you feel kind of guilty and remorseful and feeling that you weren't true to yourself. So that can be real difficult during the times that you're healing. And I did a video on some music therapy. There's art therapy. I'm an art teacher at the public schools. And, when you're doing things that you get lost in the moment, a lot of times we should stay busy. During the depressed state, we are not stimulating our brain, and our brain is neuroplastic. So by staying busy, giving ourselves some dopamine hits or some serotonin, and getting the vitamin D that we need, that it's going to help us feel better physically. And when we feel better physically, we're going to feel better emotionally. So guys, feel free to comment or ask any questions, or you can just go ahead and listen. There's a lot of things about narcissism. There's also some confusion on different kinds of mental illness. That's why I have a series dedicated to the different kinds of mental illness. Sammy Sam, hi. Hi there. Do you know much about attachment styles? You have an anxious attachment style. Is it born from childhood? So I want to ask you if you're comfortable sharing just a brief little rundown of what your childhood was like, because sometimes either we were babied too much, where we weren't able to experience certain things that people had, our caregivers didn't let us make decisions, so we're scared of making our own decision, that we become almost codependent with somebody, or we can fear that we're going to lose them. You were bullied so badly, didn't tell anyone. Parents were emotionally distant and didn't validate you enough. You now cling on to people. And that makes sense. I mean, if you think about, you know, um, you didn't feel comfortable to tell anyone, and you cling on to people. So, since your parents were emotionally distant and they didn't validate you, you are seeking kind of a caregiver, the person who will always be there. You didn't feel like your parents were there consistently or at a deep enough level. So when you find somebody that you connect with, you don't want to let them go. And you know, eh, the bullying can be trauma too. That uh, once you find somebody who is kind, that you also latch on for that reason too, because of the bullying. But attachment style definitely does make a difference. So um, being when you're anxious with them, is it when you feel that you're going to start losing them? You're trying to heal and change. It's not easy, but I'll get there. At least I have acknowledged. Yes, and that's what GI Joe says. Knowledge is half the battle. So that's fantastic. Looking back, yeah, we do start to realize some of the things in our childhood. And I told you that I was a burn victim, and I look back and I'm like, it happened at my 5th birthday party and on my 5th birthday, and I'm looking back, I was like, did that have something to do with it, where you know in the end, during the breakup stage, the discard stage, I got clingy too much, and I'm like, is that like an abandonment issue? But then I was like, I was abandoned. So it gets a little confusing, and I didn't feel that I was abandoned at that time, but I wonder, months away from my family. Did that have something to do with it? Because I had a pretty good childhood, but trying to heal. And that's fantastic that you realize that um, when you cling on to people, that you have to not hold on so tight. That one song, if you hold on loosely, if you cling too tight, you're going to lose control. And that is so true. That is so true, because it's that push pull dynamic. When we cling on too tight, people want to pull aside away from us. So there has to be a balance. There has to be breathing room. And Is it mainly in romantic relationships that you're anxious? John, it's very cold weather lately. It's miserable cold weather. It was -15 here. So what about you, John? Sammy Sam says coming off clingy comes across needy and desperate, which is an off put, and yeah, intimate relationships, and it yeah, it is off-putting to people, and we have to realize that we have to be able to stand on our own 2 feet, when it comes to this because, um, it 6 below 0, brr, yeah, it's super cold. I'm waiting for, summer to come. And the intimate relationships, this is how I kinda look at it, is our intimate relationships, those are the ones where we're trying to, um, really make up for whatever we were missing in our childhood and also what we're used to. So your problem that you have had, which has been draining, is chasing people. I will never chase again, but pursue. Yeah, we can let people know, that we're interested in them, but the chasing, yeah. That's what's gonna put people off, and we have to learn when the balance is, because once we feel that we're in this relationship, we either get super excited and we forget not to get too clingy because 'cause we're like, "Oh, I'll just call," and also, I don't know if you guys can relate to this, where I went through this during the discard phase where you're, like, reaching out too much, and you're like, "Oh, I thought that was 2 days ago, and it was, like, half hour ago." You're like, "Oh my gosh," like, I'm losing my mind where I'm just losing track of time. So sometimes you might think, hey, I'll just give her a call or, stop over. And you're like, oh, I'm doing this way too much before the relationship progresses into what it is. So it's good that you're recognizing that. And John says, I don't chase people, never really did. And that's good. That's good. That's a healthier way. Sammy Sam says, John, I'm sorry, mate. I disagree. Almost every man has. Ooh, John. What do you want to say to that? And that's the thing, it's kind of set up where the guys are supposed to chase in a way that you go after. Um, you know, and the, John was pretty good about his person who kind of screwed him over is he fell deep. He fell fairly quick. He was in a vulnerable state because he did just uh, have the woman he was with for like 40 years pass away. So he was in a vulnerable state. That's why we have to heal first to really see. But he hit rock bottom hard, but he let it go as well. So as far as that in particular woman, he did let go fairly well or early. But do I think narcissist exes create their insecurities, or are they formed in childhood, but they bring them out more? Could be both. Could be both. Um, let's say Sammy Sam, you're a man, right? Because we also have Samantha. Uh, like your attachment problem, etc. It's definitely the childhood trauma will surface throughout time. That's what I thought. So it could be a new uh issue. Like all of a sudden now you have a beard and I tell you, you look like Grizzly Adams or you look stupid, you look like my ex, or just little things like that where you're like, whoa, I thought I looked good. And you know, is it necessarily a beard or that we have a trauma of wanting to look good? There are certain things, where you could think that you have a great job. And I'm like, that's a loser job. But it depends on how deep you want to go into it because if you take pride in things and things like that are important, or status or money or whatever it is, it's a little trigger that way too. So I think a lot of it is from childhood, from what you feel is the right way to do things, or survival techniques. So the insecurities, can evolve too. Just like when I was growing up, you wanted a small butt, now you want a big butt. And, so to stay with the times, is the insecurity different? Maybe having the perfect butt is uh, the end goal. Um, if that makes sense. John says, I do interact with women and talk with them, but I don't actually chase them. Fair enough, John. Agree to disagree. No. um, so yeah, yeah, and everybody's different too. What is everybody's definition of chase? Ask her out 3 times, ask her out 3 times in an hour. So, and yeah, the insecurities. Of not feeling good enough. So sometimes too, they could bake you an apple pie and you're like, "Ooh, it's not sweet enough." And it's just a insecurity of not being good enough, or not. They could take that as they're not loved, that the apple pie turned out wrong, and you're like, "Oh, I was just saying it wasn't like as sweet as I thought it would be, and I appreciate you making it, but." Um, so it goes to, not feeling they were good enough, or just getting what they want. Sammy says chasing basically means there is no reciprocation on the other person's part. And sometimes too, it can be mild reciprocation, and you're either desperately wanting it to be full-fledged, because I could go out to the movies with you tonight, and we could have a great time, and I just, whoa, what are you doing? Like, no, I didn't say we're getting married next week. It's like, yeah, I want to spend time with you. That we latch on too quickly. We don't always let the relationship evolve, and we miss out on that crucial time. We skip the relationship building time, if we have an anxious attachment style. Um, and it's kind of like Sammy Sam, that you were hoping so much for the validation and love from your parents, that once you feel love, you latch onto it. Um, and that's understandable. It's something that you were missing your whole life, and if somebody validates you, you know it's like over the top appreciation, not like, oh, cool, cool. It's like, oh, I gotta buy him a car. And that uh you know um it's weird how that can creep people out. uh I know I had one guy that I just started dating, and I was still getting over my attachment style after narcissistic abuse. It's uh I'm still recovering. I haven't really dated. But as far as like the interactions with the second narcissist, probably anxious, that you you just feel anxious that either things weren't coming quick enough. It's like, but there's also the reality. See, this is where it gets hard. Is I don't think I'm that crazy, but he triggered me, where you're like, okay, dude, I've waited 3 days, or you're like, are you still coming over? And they don't answer till the day after the plans, and it starts triggering you. So I don't know. I just want something nice. I might be a little anxious, and also avoidant, if that makes sense, to where I get scared, that uh, I don't know. It's I have like a lot of things that I want in a man, as far as, I don't want a drug user, or somebody who doesn't have motivation. You know, there's just a couple things, and you know, it's hard to trust. It's hard to trust again. I take sexual health very, and like, seriously, and it's hard. Like, yeah, Can you trust people? So as far as I guess trying to look at all the different red flags and being very cautious that you're not putting some of your past trauma onto somebody else, really trying to understand what people are saying, what their meaning is, because I've realized how much what we say is based on our perception, and how much when somebody says something, it's how we interpret it from our inner side. That this can be sometimes hurt feelings over good intentions. And it's interesting across YouTube. I want to say we live in this 50-50 world, and not even men, women. I'm talking 50-50 belief systems that you see comments, all over Facebook and, the different political parties. It's almost like we're in a split nation, 50-50, that people say something and you see this side looking at it from this perspective, this side looking at it from the other perspective. And it's like, whoa, that is not what they were saying. People are hyper cautious. That's not the word I want to use, but hyper cautious of hypersensitive to what people say. But as far as my attachment style, it's null, null and void. I haven't really found somebody that I trust, to, there's a lot of guys that who just want one night stands. I can't tell you, I've been on so many, not so many, but several dates where if you don't kiss them on the first date, that's the last time you're going to hear from them. And that's been one of the things is, you know, uh, you seem to have a really good night with them. And if you don't make out with them, then, you know, and then, you hear stories about certain people, like if they've done too much that I'm not into, then I kind of don't go there, you know. But I feel for me, as far as a relationship, as long as there's truth and honesty, that it falls into place. But when things start feeling wrong, it's interesting how you can pick up on the different vibrations of the different lies or feelings. Would I say meditation is good for attachment issues and affirmations? Affirmations are always good, you know. Uh, you know, some self love is really good. Uh, Meditation, um, to calm yourself. If you meditate to calm yourself, um, you know, as long as there's different kinds of meditation. So if you're getting deep in thought about your person, and it can cause a higher attachment, obsession, to where that's all you think about. So if you're talking about like the calming, the little zen that you go through, that can be helpful. But the main thing as far as that is, that if you give them a call, if they like you, they're going to call you back. And that's your answer on, that's how you get your affirmation, that you let it come to you, that you don't seek the validation constantly, that you give them a chance to validate you. And, you know, um, if you give them a call, this is where it can get difficult. Let's say, I don't know, let's say you and me. So you're calling me, and finally Friday night, I'm like, I call you back, and you're like, oh my gosh, she likes me. And it's like, it's going to feel different to you, where it's like, she's not reaching out to me. She will respond to me, but she's not filling my cup. Um, and be cautious on that you're not the only one putting in the work, because eventually that's going to deplete you as well. And it's hard, this male female, we're kind of changing with gender stuff, but you know um when do you pursue? Are women using you for a free dinner or a free movie or free trip? You know there's a lot of selfish people out there. So calm yourself. That would be good. Some yoga can be helpful too. And affirmations. I am good enough. I am worth waiting for them to call me back. Those kind of affirmations. It's just not always like I'm good looking. Just know who you are, that the affirmations will come without you seeking them. You can pursue it a little bit, but without forcing it either. So what's meant to be will be. I won't force anything. I'll let my intentions be known. Yeah. And, if you're like, hey, I'd love to take you out, and you're like, okay, great. And then if an opportunity comes, hey, there's a soccer match. You want to go to it? I can come pick you up at 4. And, try it 2, 3 times. And then after that, you're going to have to let it go. And then maybe I will come and say, hey, I'd like to go to a game now. So you will wait and see if the other person messages me or makes effort. I feel let down when they don't. Yeah. And part of that is the trauma, as some of us have gone to, where, society basically has taught us, people have their phones in their hands, and we know people have their phones in their hands. And we do get let down. It's like, it takes 2 seconds. Like when I was 18, you give somebody a call, you're tied up for 10, 15, 28 hours. But now it's just a simple text like, yeah, pick me up at 4, or no, thanks, I'm busy. That it literally takes anywhere from 3 to 30 seconds to communicate. And when people don't have that minute amount of time, that can really hurt. So yeah, I get it. I get it. It's I kind of feel like um, text is a communication. Text is like a conversation. So if I'm like, "Hey, how you doing?" If we were standing face to face and you're like not saying anything, like, okay, you don't accept a maybe or let you know. If you ever worked in business, you know what that means no. That's true. That's true. Yeah. And Geez, that is so correct. That is so correct. Sometimes too, you know, it can work out. It can still work out. Like, I'm not feeling too good. I'll have to let you know Friday if I'm going to be able to still go out because I've had the flu, things like that. Sometimes, you know, I've had to do the maybes lately because my mom hasn't been feeling. She just got out of the hospital after 2.5 months, so I've had to do that with my cousin, like maybe, not knowing. But you are correct. If that's an ongoing thing with no real issue. And also, if you think about it too, it's like maybe if nothing better comes along, is kind of what that means. So, yeah, they might go, but, maybes are usually, um, you're not my first choice, is pretty much what it says. So, yes, I've worked in business. And that is so true. Flaky. Hmm. Yep. Sometimes too, they don't know what they want, or they have something in the works that they're hoping works out, and they're setting aside their time. So we have to be cautious not to do that as well, that we enjoy life, that we don't let our friends down, the people that do want to be in our lives, that we take them up on those offers. And, the person who, um, comes along, that they can schedule with us, because that's going to show that we're a higher value person. And when it's weird how it works, just like the popular kids at school. Why are they so popular? Because you know um how do I want to word it? It's I don't even know how to word it. But when you see somebody doing something, um, let me word it this way, that a lot of times when you see somebody who is in a relationship, that they are seen as worthy of being in a relationship. So that's almost going to draw you to them sometimes, because you see their worth just because they're doing that. So the popular kids, you see a value in the popular kids because other people like them. Other people like them. I should probably like them too. And you forget about all the other people. Um, the dynamics of relationships are so interesting, and how it all works. The herd mentality that we have, wanting to fit in. Sometimes people will do things that they wouldn't necessarily do, or they start to believe in things just to fit in or go with the flow. A lot of people are gullible, and I see we have a couple more people joined us. Feel free to join in, ask any questions or comment. And Sammy Sam was talking about the attachment style, anxious attachment style. And codependency too can happen a lot with narcissistic relationships. And that can happen by the destruction of the relationship. So Sammy Sam, are you hoping for a little more interaction from somebody in particular? Because it it's an exchange of energy, and the more I research it, the more it makes sense. So I do believe in a God. Whatever you guys believe in is fine, but as far as the vibrations and the manifestation, um and when we're in that love bombing stage with a narcissist, it's high energy and it feels good. You have someone in mind, but she is blowing hot and cold and leaving me in the dark. So I'm going to pull back. You have to do that. You have to do that. And yeah, she's not ready. She's not ready. Is she dating anybody else, or still getting over an ex? Or those are always hard. And that's why, when we're with somebody, it should be somebody who's emotionally available. Because it doesn't sound like she's emotionally available. And Jen, thanks for chiming in. The new supply is about to be put to a big test. And that's the truth. That is such the truth. It is inevitable, it's just like when you get a new car. You're going to love your new car for a while, and then all of a sudden the seats are going to get a little worn, or the leather's going to get a little duller, and one headlight might go out, or it needs more investment. You're going to have to change that oil filter, and uh, that's how they view the new supply. It's bright and shiny until it gets worn in a little bit. And Sammy Sam says that's true, Jen. They always act like they are fine and it's going great. Yeah. I just saw something on Daniel Radcliffe. And if you think about him, he's the one from Harry Potter, where he should be flying high. He's super famous, lots of money, and, good looking. Popularity, good looking, money. He could probably get any girl. I think he's heterosexual, but he could probably get anybody. And you would think that he would be happy. He was just talking on this, who was Jordan Peterson and a couple other famous people were doing this interview on alcoholism. And he kind of struggled with drinking too much. And he was saying, I thought I'd go out and, be happy, do the partying and drink the alcohol. And he's like, but I wasn't happy. And, I'm not saying he's a narcissist. I don't know enough about him. So I'm definitely not trying to say he is. I don't know him. But as far as the happiness, looking from the outside in, like, gosh, like famous actor, he's got it made. He's only 20 something. I don't know how old he is now. Is he 30 yet? But, young and rich and can travel the world and the things they say, and girls flying all over him, and he's still unhappy. So is our narcissist happy now? Probably not. They're going to also start comparing different little things. Maybe you gave better gifts, and the new supply is lacking on that. So they're going to think about you again. Little sexual things that the other won't do, or doesn't do it the same. Is BPD similar to NPD? Very similar, but it's so hard to describe. That it's kind of like the triggers. The way it's triggered is different. So BPD is borderline personality disorder. It's the way it manifests. It's so hard to describe because it's like the twist, the interpretation is a little bit different. Jen says it will be my narc husband, my teen, narc stepdaughter, supplies teen, and the new supply all in one house. Oh, oh wham. Oh, and that's a they now this I don't know. You guys, I'll tell you statistics. I don't know if I've seen this. They say 90% of step families get divorced. I don't know if I've necessarily seen that high, but are they married? The new supply? I'm kind of thinking, I don't know. Um, and you think about, I want to know, Jen, are they married? Um, a lot of times we'll jump into these relationships. No, he's still married to you. Oh, big hugs. I don't mean to laugh, but um, yeah, that's a little narcissistic. Oh, sweetie, I'm sorry. How are you handling that? Are you having a hard time with that? Some people feel they're better off and others are heartbroken. That's a big betrayal. Take on a whole other family, and sometimes that hurts, like, but I want to tell you this, Jen. Mine kind of did the same thing, in a sense. We weren't married. We were talking about a full life together, but I saw what he chose 10, 11 years younger. And she had a son, and she was young enough to replace his daughter, who moved out. And I'm not talking in a sexual, creepy way, just being a father figure. And then, so she was young enough to replace the daughter and old enough to replace the ex-wife. And the supply of the empty nest. He didn't have to go through empty nesting. So uh, he had his daughter, his wife, and his son in that one person. And I think that's, I can't remember, Jen. I remember you being on the channel. Do you have children with him? I'm not sure. I'm so happy I won't be there. My narc stepdaughter is a high price prostitute and major drama. She makes messes on purpose and never picks up after herself. Yes. Yeah. That's that's sad. Somebody's going through that. And it's almost like you see the major drama. Sometimes too how she is high priced, that she believes she deserves all this kind of stuff. And I'm not necessarily saying, you put a value on your career. That's not quite the career, but making the messes on purpose, never picks up after herself. She's in her own little world, isn't considerate of the other people. Your son will not go over there. My 14-year-old will be there. That's got to be hard. I wouldn't necessarily want your child. Yeah, she made 30,000 in Dubai in a month. Dubai has quite a bit of money too, and uh, it's probably, I don't know where you're from, but I know a little bit about Dubai. That's where what's his face? Andrew Tate. Oh my gosh, he was over in Dubai. You're in California. Thank you. I do remember you. I don't. Sometimes it's hard to remember all the details. So, but I definitely remember your name and having you here. Um, yeah, and that can be addicting to people. 30,000, and yeah, sometimes people take risks for money. I don't think that's worth it. You know, you think about $30,000. That's a big chunk of change, but it can completely destroy your life. Maybe you won't be kept for some employment, or you might be denied it. You might lose out on future relationships because people know what she used to do. And I'm talking about her, what she used to do in the past. So she's missing out on quality people because of things that she did for, $30,000. Fast money can corrupt people. And it's easy money, but what's going to happen when she gets older? And you agree. I tried to get her to work as a bank teller. She just laughed at me. Yeah, it's like, I can go get money easy. And she's at risk of getting caught up in that lifestyle. Um, there are probably going to be men who want to get her drunk or high to take more advantage of her and, uh, or to keep the cost cheaper. I'll offer you this. And she's like, I don't do that. And then it's like, you got to be careful. There are people that'll slip you stuff too. So your boundaries aren't always going to be upheld. That's why the people that we hang out with, and she's probably meeting strangers. Um, and she went all the way over to Dubai. Why did she go to Dubai? Because you would think you could make that in America. I don't know. But yeah, there's escorts and things like that. That's a dangerous lifestyle. She's very pretty. She gets her contracts on Instagram. Yeah. She better be careful though. That is not a life that is a safe life. I knew one lady who was a prostitute. I'm trying to get her to do an interview. I just did an interview with Bennett Schiller on psychedelics. I reached out to another friend who's been through a lot of abuse, and I was going to reach out to the girl who used to be a prostitute, and she has borderline. I've talked about her a couple times, and she uses her body a lot for validation. And she used to be a stripper, escort, the different things she didn't necessarily want to do. And there were some scary type of interactions that happened, like very scary. And, it can mess with your mind. And, I see her trying to be strong. She's been back and forth like, uh, I want to say it was a 7-year relationship, but they're together, they're apart. I'm done with them. We love each other. Don't judge me. Back and forth, and just unstable. And being pretty only lasts for however long, and this is her prime. She's going to spend her prime time chasing money instead of being with a support person, possibly the love of her life. And the more she's with other people, the more she's going to compare. It's going to numb her. It's going to numb her to true love, which is really sad. Um, it just like porn addiction changes people. It's going to become a transaction, not just being caught up in love and making love. It's going to be like, well, I could go make $5,000 tonight. Why am I going to let you take me out to dinner? So I just don't like your 14-year-old will be there. And did your son tell you why he would not go over there? Um, but Jen says she has no skills, no degree. Parents let her drop high school to party. They gave her money and whatever she wants. Yeah, she's got the parents probably wrapped around her finger, and she's going to expect that from a man. And it's not going to go well. It's not going to go well. There's very generous men out there, but when they start feeling that they're being taken advantage of, that's when it's all going to fall apart. There's going to be resentment. And over time, she'll probably lose some of her looks and she won't know how to cope with it. She's going to crash hard. Um, I've seen that happen to a lot of women, whether they were strippers or, you know, just the pretty girl, who thought they could get anything. Um, it's interesting. You see the jocks in high school too, what happens to them later on in life when things go south. You know, uh, yeah, the new supply. I've been watching Haley Khalil. I really like her. She was married to a football player, and I guess it was a really bad relationship. And she's absolutely drop dead gorgeous. Um, and she got divorced, and so it's not about looks. Even the prettiest girl out there, they can, um, have somebody leave them. And he was saying she's not pretty enough. She does have a YouTube channel. He's like, nobody's going to watch you. And she just hit over 1 million subscribers. So she let her self confidence um, build up, her self esteem. She didn't let him knock her down. And she's, overcoming. Um, yeah. And have you guys filed for divorce, Jen? And I know you were asking Sammy Sam about the difference between borderline and NPD. They do have the similarities. They can also have similar comorbidities, such as anxiety, depression. But it's, I want to do something. This is what I was talking about. This is how my mind works with NPD and BPD. They are so similar that I'm trying to do more research to see if it has something to do with feminine versus masculine, because they are that similar. That women, we might cry a little bit more, and there's just differences. So I know with all this transition, people, transgender, how even the dynamics between either a gay or lesbian relationship, how a lot of times one's a masculine one, one's a feminine one. So is it a feminine form, whether you're male or female, if you identify as the more feminine aspect? Because BPD, there are more females. NPD, there are more males. And it's interesting to see how the change is starting to balance out a little bit more. Is it balancing out a little bit more because of the change that more females are added to narcissism because women are becoming more empowered and more masculine to survive in this world? So that's my take on it. Is I think there may be something to the feminine and masculine that I want to say, but in the books it's not um, defined yet. That my hypothesis is correct, which it is. Give me time. I'll solve the puzzle. So, does that make sense to any of you guys out there that, just like an assertive male is seen as powerful and an assertive female is seen as a bitch? So, we're both assertive, but they're seen different. So I think the BPD and the NPD is the same, but seen different because of the male feminine traits. That's pretty deep. What do you guys think? Comment below if you like that. Yes, divorce in Ark in California is a major marathon and takes 2 years. I went to law school in '97, but I don't really know what's going on now. Are there certain states where you have to have a 2 year, or is that like in New Zealand or Australia? Somebody mentioned a 2 year waiting period. That might have been outside the United States. I'm thinking it's outside the United States and somewhere in the land down under area where you have to wait 2 years. Was it UK? Can't remember. Um, yeah, it's 6 months if all is agreeable. Okay. And narcissists usually are not agreeable. Some will be like, screw you, just get out of my face. But yeah, if let me ask you this, Jen. Are you the one that left or did he leave? And is he willing to work with you? I know you have kids involved. At age 14, it's up to the 14-year-old. They're going to let the 14-year-old decide. I'm in Michigan, so double check your state. But usually, they won't force the kid to be at either house. The kid wants to be with dad or the kid wants to be with you. They won't force the kid to go on weekends. So, you know, uh, as far as fighting. That can cost some money. So just know that they're going to let that 14-year-old make some decisions on their own unless they have some severe uh, mental disability type things where they can't make good decisions. Jen says he left because I was questioning the fare and he denied it. Yeah, now they're living together. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like we sense it. Um, did you have proof or did you just start sensing it? Because a lot of times too, just that energy shift, and then the actions that they might start doing. Sometimes they're so much more wonderful to us, like, oh my gosh, he brought me roses, and oh, he's drawing my bath for me, and oh my gosh, a little puppy, you got me a puppy, I always wanted a puppy, and you kept telling. So they'll do things and we're like, wow, they're a changed man, and it's like, no, they're a shadier man. So yeah, they're changed, just not for, so in that time, you might enjoy, just like right now, the new supply might enjoy flowers and having the bath drawn and a new puppy dog, and everything seems so wonderful. But behind the scenes, it's not. Um, when I went to China, you would go down this facade where it was like Rodeo Drive. It was just absolutely gorgeous, fancy, high dollar shops, well dressed people, like really well dressed people, clean streets. You literally walk around that section of the building. It was like a big old row, and you walk around, and it was the seediest, dirtiest uh, third world market. It was horrendous. It was, so if you see that uh, Rodeo Drive type thing that I saw in China, it was like, oh my gosh, China is amazing. But you have to look at the big picture, and the same with the Narcissist and the new supply. You have to look at the big picture. We're just seeing that Rodeo Drive, looking at that new supply. There's some dirty, seedy, horrible things. Melissa is here. Yay! Hello, Melissa. Good to have you. And um, we got a couple people in the chat room. I don't know where John is. John fell asleep or something. He promised he'd be here. But John says he bought new underwear. I saw credit card meals for two. We ran into her and the exchange was too awkward. She looked like she would cry because I was walking arm in arm with him. Okay. Yeah, there's times it's like you always just get a burger. Why is it $40? Yeah, that you're like, no. Even if you had two drinks, like that's not going to add up. Um, you can feel that tension. Um, yeah, and the facial expressions, those are hard to hide. She really cared about him. What did he look like? What was he like? Um, and the new underwear, yeah, that can be a sign too. Especially their different, like if they were always tidy whities, now all of a sudden they're super colorful and whole different style. Where they, I don't know, complain, I'll never wear boxers, whatever, and now all of a sudden they're wearing boxers, or that's got to be hard. Did he ever admit to it? Yeah, sometimes they just leave. And Melissa, how's it been going for you? Feel free to let us know how it's going. Nobody commented. Do you guys think I was correct on the BPD and NPD? I think that's pretty deep. I think there's something to it. Jen says she did me the biggest favor. No, he will never admit it. He's got her living in the house right now, and he's like, nope, we're just friends. Yeah, I had one that did that too. It's like, nope, I'm just helping her out with her son so he can go to a better school so he's not bullied. And I'm like, dude, you could have just given her your address. And if you're single, like moving another woman and a child in is, even if it wasn't to be with me, it's hindering your future. And I don't know. Yeah, they don't like to admit it. They'll carry on that story for as long as they can. Crazy stuff. But the new supply doesn't have it better. As far as even Jen, her, the new supply, what does she have? She has a man who's still not married and a man who lies. a man who doesn't realize what he had. He had a whole family, and he's just replacing. Yeah, it's not better. And the thing too is, you got to think about it, is that new supply now knows that, and I wonder if she knew he was married, if she knew. You may not know that, because you could have asked him. He might not have necessarily told you the truth, but she's got a question, like, you know, um, she's probably uptight. Is he going to marry me? Is he ever going to go through with this divorce? Is he going to lie to me? Is he going to get back together with Jen? That her insecurities are going to come to surface. So he's going to have to overcompensate for that. And if he's overcompensating and not necessarily wanting to, that he's going to start to resent her and take things out. He's going to see that, you know, uh, her insecurities unless he keeps them in check. And he's not going to want to do that forever. Plus, you guys have kids involved. So, um, hmm. Jen says the new supply ran over my trash cans before he left. She was mad he didn't leave me faster. She knew he was married. Her sister lives across the street from me. Oh, good. Oh, is that how they met? Did the sister go to the sister's house and he met her? That's got to be tough. Oh, you met the some. Oh, oh, Jen. Huh. Did she, who pursued who? Do you know? Do you know if she kind of targeted your husband or ex or soon to be? Melissa says, I'm okay. I'm on a new antidepressant pill. Is that working for you? Are you having any adverse effects? Is it sometimes it works right away, sometimes it takes time to build up in your system. And I know some people feel a little different on it. Are you feeling good on the antidepressant pill? So I'm hoping it's helping. And sometimes medications can get us through. It's still important um, to remember why we're on antidepressant pills, that maybe there is something that we can still work on healing, because when we rewire our brain, it's going to help us. It's going to help us, but it can get real tough at times. So John or Melissa, I'm hoping it's starting to work for you and help you. Mia, I am doing good. I'm at my mom's house, so I got my little makeshift classroom. This is the only way I had the Ethernet. So they're out in the boondocks. So I tried doing it with just the Wi-Fi. Have to have Ethernet. So welcome to the classroom. How you doing? Jen says the new supply brought her daughter for me to provide free babysitting. Now the 14-year-olds are going to be sisters. Oh, wow. That, how do you feel? Does that eat at you? Does that eat at you, or close? That's kind of close for comfort. Yes, I am a teacher. And I'm glad you're good. But yeah, I'm at my mom's. So, when my dad was dying, I pretty much moved in here for 2.5 years, and then would still travel. So like on the weekends, I'd come back, and I was teaching online. I also teach in the public schools. I've been a gym teacher, all different grade levels, college professor, taught criminal law, and right now I'm currently teaching art. And on Monday, I will be teaching health after school to through something called Out School. Um, so very happy about the flexibility and all that good stuff. John says, I watched her daughter for her often because she said she could not handle her and needed to study. Yeah, now you got a 14-year-old sweetheart. So she's going to be overwhelmed. Um, hmm. Does your 14-year-old like her? Or does your 14-year-old hopefully not like her daughter? Uh-oh. Didn't think about that. I know when I was in seventh grade, there was a, a boy and a girl. Their parents got married and they were dating. And I don't know if they had to break up, but that would be weird. Seventh grade. I can't remember. I want to say they were told to break up, but you know how that goes. living. I don't know if that was a very good situation. Um, they were good. It would suck too, you know. It was probably the kids dated first, and then the parents fell in love. They were a cute little couple, though. Um, you know, you're better off without him. You weren't happy. He had rages and was abusive. So he's going to do that to the new supply. Do you know what triggered him? Yeah, every narcissist is different, and um, you know, they do have triggers. A lot of times, it's not even something necessarily that we did. It's just little stupid things that and I give a comparison on that where you know you see dogs that are afraid of men, or vice versa, where it was a male that human male that would beat him up. Or there's this one girl who was so scared of her adoptive mother. Her adoptive mother was so sweet. It's just that the adoptive mother had fake nails, and it reminded the child of her abuser. So even just something as simple as fake nails can set somebody off, you know. Uh, Jen says he gets triggered when he feels insecure or jealous or guilty. Yep, that's pretty classic. Mia says, thank you for being a teacher. It's a great field. So underappreciated and so stressful. Yeah, Friday I had a bunch of kindergartners, 3 classes, and they gave me a run for my money. But they're wonderful. It is underappreciated, yeah, and heartbreaking. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so very much for being a teacher. It takes a caring teacher, tender soul. Or yeah, it definitely takes somebody who's very patient and committed. You definitely have to be committed because they will give you uh, the run for your money. Jen says, or unappreciated, or he gets triggered a lot, or on and on and on and on. Yep. And you know, sometimes even just taking a nap, you took a nap, it pisses them off. You should be doing this, or you should be doing that, or they don't need to take a nap. Why do you need to take a nap? Um, you know, and you're like, whoa, I just wanted to take a nap. um, yeah. Yeah. It's going to take 6 to 8 weeks to feel the full effect of the pill. I don't much better right now. So right now it's not really making too much of a difference yet. Yeah, it does. And that's why medication sometimes can be difficult to find the right dose, to find the right type. So any of you who are considering that, that is something to think about, that they have a lot of adjustments with medications. I know there's a little boy at school who I think he's on his 6th medication this year, and you can see the differences in how they work. So you definitely need to get one that works for you. You don't much feel better right now. So, are you still struggling a lot? Depression can be really hard. There's steps that we can do to kind of calm ourselves. And John, where is John? John hasn't logged in yet. He's an hour late. Jen says his narc daughter is the golden child, so you cannot complain if she offers the younger one drugs, alcohol, or uses profanity. That is not good. Oh, I don't like, especially the drug one. You know, they got that fentanyl stuff going around. That scares me. And even just touching it can be deadly. And people are mixing things. People are shady. So even if somebody thinks they're taking a certain drug, it might not be the one they even chose to do, which hopefully they don't choose. Try to document that, Jen. Maybe, I don't know. I wouldn't want my kids around that. Yeah, the profanity they may overlook. They don't like disparaging comments, things like that. But um, the alcohol and drugs, that is not good. Jen says, my 12-year-old son did not like being offered drugs in her care, and now his father avoids him. Stepmom and dad, are they drug users? You might be able to get a court-ordered drug test to see if they're fit to take care of a child. Mia says, thanks, Jen. However, I am not the best speller. However, I spelled it that way because teachers are way under appreciated. Thanks, Honor, and so much more that they are so rightfully due. Well, thank you. You're sweet. And I appreciate that. It does help us. Oh, you've been reading the Bible. Have you anything stood out to you? Sometimes it's amazing how the right chapter, you're like, whoa, that spoke to me. There's times you'll go to church or synagogue, whatever you go to, where it's kind of miraculous how certain passages will or sermons will speak to you. So they don't use. That's good. They're just letting that girl run wild. Are they real strict with your boys? And one doesn't go over it at all. How's the dad dealing with that? Is the dad being aggressive about that? So, and that's the thing, Melissa, like we were talking about higher power, that it can be kind of comforting. That's why I said, if we can release ourselves to I told you guys I'm religious. Release it to your God or release it to the universe, whatever it is that you release it to know that it's going to work out. It almost like opens you up to clearly see things. And when you can clearly see things, it's going to fall more into place and you're going to make the right kind of decisions. It's going to give you faith and guidance. You know, your thoughts will work themselves out. And, you know, I talk about the manifestation where I kind of did it as like a experiment type thing where you believe, and it's really hard to do, but you believe in something in the end and you have to truly believe it. But if you do that, you're going to do the necessary steps to achieve that. And it does work out. Sounds so crazy. But we do have power, but we have to train our mind in how to think, how to interpret. So thank you guys for those thumbs up, helping with that algorithm. And I got a couple people, feel free to join in and question or comment, open discussion, anything you guys want to talk about. Because, you know, healing takes time and, you know, like Sammy Sam was saying, it's good to realize who we are, what kind of attachment styles we have, or if we're avoidant or dismissive. That was seeing a post today, the comments of people who are like, you know, I push people away who want to be in my life. And sometimes it's hard to understand why we do that, but it can be a fear of abandonment sometimes that we push people away so we don't ever go through that again. But we're missing out on the relationship that could be so fulfilling to us. And we push aside what we want sometimes. You know, so if you change your mindset to this person's going to be with me, this person's going to stick by my side. If it's a healthy person, that they will. You know, you're not going to push them away. And the dynamics just work better. But with a narcissist, they don't have our true intentions at heart. It is transactional. So if we don't give them exactly what they want, it's just like buying a car. If you don't have the certain car I want, I'm just going to go somewhere else or pick a different one off the lot to where they're not deeply connected. John says, after a relationship with a narc, you really want people vetted before bonding. That's true. And Sammy Sam was asking me earlier, and that's kind of where I am. We should vet people anyways, but yeah, that we don't push people away too soon. And we also don't latch on to them too soon, where there is a balance where takes the time to develop. If it's meant to be, it will be. There doesn't need to be a rush. If two people really do love each other, it's going to work out. Your focus is going to hone in on each other. You know, and unfortunately, there's so many temptations. And I wanted to say something about it. It was predictions made 100 years ago, and they were saying about what was it? It was, can't remember exactly, 1 million. Can't remember exactly what it was. But the other part of it was that we are the 6 degrees, the Kevin Bacon thing, how you're 6 degrees away from Kevin Bacon or whatever. But they say we're all six people away from everybody. And it was interesting to see how the world is expanding out, that we're more intertwined now. So people are finding out more and more about each other because of this, I don't know, intertwining type thing. Online dating has a high narc ratio. I'm glad you brought that up, Jen, because it really does. The pretty people are definitely going to try to seduce people. They're going to use their looks. And there's also the catfishing. And unfortunately, the ones who aren't as societally as good looking are going to get overlooked. And sometimes when you're left behind, uh, that you have a truer soul. Um, and people, it's easier to look at the packaging than what's on the inside. So you don't always know what you're going to get. And I had this example of Kraft macaroni and cheese that I thought I was the luckiest girl in the world. This is when I was like 12, but I had this package of Kraft macaroni and cheese, and there were 2 packages of cheese, and I was so excited. And so I had super cheesy macaroni and cheese. And next time I went to make it, same exact looking box, I open it, and it must have been next in line on the production line, that there was no cheese. And so I was the saddest girl in the world. But it looked the same from the outside. It was completely different on the inside. So you have to look on the outside. Mia says, would you agree that after the narcissist, when you meet people, you just look for red flags? It just seems you have to be more guarded. Be cautious on that. That's why we have to be fully healed, and we have to give people a chance, um, yeah. And that's kind of where we sometimes turn into narcissists, or at least pick up those narcissistic traits. Like the narcissist will look at things negatively, like, um, I'm trying to think of an example. I don't know. You haven't progressed in your career, as opposed to, you have stuck this out for 12 years. Like, you're really making a difference. Just whatever the situation is, they're going to look at the negative instead of the positive. So we have to be careful when we start a new relationship, that we're not like, uh, you know, um, looking at things unfairly. It can be like the person doesn't have the best job. They quit their job, but then you're like, oh, they were taking care of a dying family member, or they had a health issue, and then we're gonna be like, no, it was probably a lie, when it was real. And we got to be careful too, where we're like, can I see documentation on that they're gonna start to be put off too. So it's a difficult balance. Jen says, I've been single, although still married, for 1.5 years, and enjoy healing and reflecting. I try not to think too much about the train wreck that is happening across town. Yeah. And I'm glad you're here. This can kind of help give a little distraction, a little validation, a little time to explain your situation. You're safe in this community here, that you don't have to worry about being the talk of the town. If you talk to somebody, it's going to get back to him, because you're probably going through a lot. It's still something you have to heal from. So, yeah. And I do think that we do have to be cautious, not to be too guarded, but to definitely look for red flags, you know? If somebody tells you they slept with 150 people, is that your type of person? You know, is that showing a pattern? Um, you know, for whatever's important to you. But if they're like, I don't smoke, but then you catch them with a cigarette or just little things like that, like, why are you lying? Be cautious on that, you know. And are they liking everything you like? And are they showing a true interest? You know, they say, um, I don't know. I'm a seamstress too, Cynthia. Because I used to have a sewing business. So, and you're like, oh, what kind of sewing machine do you use? And they're like, what? Where they say they know, you know, just like girls that were like, yeah, I love football. I love it when they get a goal. And it's like a goal. Like, do you know what you're talking about? You know, that they're just saying stuff to please you. There are people pleasers out there that don't have a true identity. So uh, a lot goes back to childhood. You know, uh, my triggers, like I was saying, when Sammy Sam was asking, it's just like you expect somebody to, you know, if they're a friend of yours or a family member or whoever, somebody that respects you, that they'll get back to you. And when you start feeling like I've been patient and you reach out again, you still don't hear anything, narcissists love to do that as a game. Um, they get a high off of it, and it is literally a high because of the dopamine hit. They think it's funny, and it just goes back to um, how they gain their self-worth, you know? But I do have some good news. I got a PA system. Sadly, my father passed away, but I my mom's been giving away a lot of his stuff, and I got his PA system with a microphone. I'm hoping once I get 5,000 subscribers that we'll go ahead and start doing some conventions or even just a little trip somewhere to where we can mingle with each other, get to know each other, maybe have some guest speakers. So feel free to hit that subscribe button. But I do try to do daily speeches with you guys, some live chat. So if there's any topics that you guys would like to discuss, I got somebody else who just popped in. Let's see if that was John or whoever that is. But those thumbs up are really appreciated because I would like to grow this channel. The more people we have here, the more we can learn from each other, the different situations, because sometimes you're like, is this exactly narcissistic? My person did this, you know, and not all narcissists cheat, you know, but you see Jen's story and, you know, hers matches up. Mine was pretty classic textbook. Um, but some of them are very subtle, the covert versus overt. Um, some can be real hard to spot, and it takes time for it to all unfold. So with that new supply, it's just going to take time. Jen has she seen any red flags from him yet? Melissa says, oh, Romans 8:38 through 39, the King James Version. For I am persuaded that neither death nor life, nor angels, nor principalities, nor powers, nor things present, nor things to come, nor height, nor depth, nor any other creature. And then I see a comma. Ah. Um, thank you, Mia. Condolences to me. Thank you. Yeah, he went through some stuff. Talk about kind-hearted person who persevered. He was such a fighter for his life. He only like he was going through a lot, and he wanted to stick around for my mom, to be there for her, and also to bring his religious beliefs to people over in China that whether they came here for schooling or some of their family back home in China, um, that was his reason for living, is to help others. Um, so thank you. But yeah, he had a leg amputation and 2 forms of leukemia, high blood pressure, pacemaker, like on, just a lot of things. And thank you. Melissa says, shall be able, okay, so nor any other creature shall be able to separate us from the love of God, which is in Jesus Christ our Lord. And so nobody is a lost cause. And that's true, that they have a chance. They have a chance to change. And this is where it gets tricky. You know, we have, this is a worldwide platform. Everybody's going to have their own different beliefs. But how we want, whether you word it as God or the universe, can be an extremely powerful thing. That things you wouldn't expect to happen can happen. I just had my neighbor, well, I'm at my mom's neighbor came over today, and she was saying her mom, she's going to pick her up, and she has some muscular degeneration, and that she has, I don't know if it's multiple sclerosis that she has, but she had congestive heart failure, and she's cured now. They don't see signs from all the tests that this heart is cured from congestive heart failure, and based with her uh, muscular thing, and that should not be happening. So miracles happen all the time. So I yeah, open-minded. Um, that anything's a possibility. And people too, sometimes when they crash, if they have any self-reflection, um, they have to have self-reflection. And, maybe God or the universe can stimulate that. But there are some people that don't get blessed with change, if that makes sense. There is some mental illness, and the people who have no empathy aren't going to want to change. They're not going to self-reflect. They're not going to care. You have to care how it affects other people. So there's a possibility. There's a possibility. Some it's harder for, though. And yeah, I try to stay open-minded to see, and I'm pretty fair to everybody. I do give people chances and try to understand them, not judge them. Because it's easy to judge, it's hard to understand. And I think understanding, I always look at people's intentions and try to understand their perspective, why they have that perspective. Jen says, I would be amazed if the new supply has not seen red flags. I'm thinking she was waiting so long while I was with him that it will be hard to give up on her dream. I kept the problems hidden. Yeah. And did you say, I'm trying to remember if you said it was bad the whole time, or how long it was good and how long it was bad? Because, yeah, sometimes, and as soon as it starts to change, Jen, would it say it changed you? And we got quite a few people here. Feel free to join in and ask or comment if you would like. I'm good at bebopping between different people. John says it was good a few months in 2003. And did it change you a lot? I know sometimes we're heartbroken, or sometimes we're not as strong as we used to be, or it can even bring us greater strength. That there's another thing I read about. Oh, how an oyster with the pearls that it makes, it cannot make a pearl without having that irritating pebble of sand that gets in there. And the more and they said, the more grains of sand, the more pearls that are going to come, the more value it has. So sometimes the trauma we go through, just like that sand irritating that oyster, turning into something beautiful and valuable, our irritations, our setbacks can cause us to grow into something stronger. Um, You feel stronger now, but I went through the stages, and we have to. We have to go through those 5 stages of grief, you know. You're going to be in denial, like, is this really happening? Or he'll get, whatever you're going to go through, you're in denial. Then you try to bargain, you know, can this work out? Or if I lose weight, or if I do this, or, you know, work on myself, is he going to love me more? Or is she going to love me more? And then you have, anger, depression. But when you get to that acceptance, you will feel stronger. And you have to take control over your mind, you know, that we're not going to let them live rent free in our head anymore. So I did a video where kind of looking at as a vacation. Our relationship with the narcissist was a vacation. We enjoyed it. It was fantastic at times. And it's over. It's over. So you can look back, you know. I went to Florida. It was great. Went to the ocean, this, that, as an analogy. But back to reality. Back to reality. I don't live in Florida. It's not sunny every day. It was sunny on vacation. So when we're back in our lives, that this is reality, you know, that the person we were with, it was a trip. It was a trip, wasn't it? So, yeah, it's crazy. But I'm going to say, I'm going to sign off since I am at my mom's house and I am here to take care of her. So I will have live chat again tomorrow night. Feel free to let me know certain things that you guys would like to talk about. Keep me posted on how that antidepressant medications work for you. And anything you guys want to work through, we'll work through together. And thank you for the Bible verse. Take care and thank you. She's getting stronger. She is getting stronger. So long road ahead though, but thank you. All right. Lots of love to you guys and feel free to like and subscribe and I will see you hopefully tomorrow. I'll go on tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So see you then. Bye guys. Thanks for joining. Always, always hit the wrong buttons. See you soon.